This is Carving It Out
Women's Skate Stories
with Heather Janier
and Paula McDonald.
your skate besties.
Episode 9.
Cindy Whitehead.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Carving It Out Women's Skate Stories. Today we are super excited to welcome Cindy Whitehead, a professional skateboarder, activist, and skate historian. She founded her nonprofit, Girl Is Not a Four-Letter Word, in 2013, and she was inducted into the Skateboarding Hall of Fame in 2016. In her business career, Cindy has worked as a wardrobe stylist for professional athletes and models, traveling worldwide for her work. Welcome, Cindy, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, you guys. I'm excited to be here and talk all things skate with you.
Yeah, I actually ran across some of your historic items. My daughter lives in Redondo, and she gets her hair done at a place that's near Hermosa. So I dropped her off when I was visiting one day and went for a little walkabout and stumbled upon the Hermosa Beach Museum. And you have got quite a display in there. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with that and how that came to be?
Yeah, Hermosa Beach Museum, near and dear to my heart. I grew up here my entire life, and I always say that this town helped me get where I was going. Everybody was so welcoming. I basically do no wrong. All of us skaters. There weren't a lot of rules here. It's was known as a jazz town. Some of jazz originated here. Then later on, punk was here. We have a lot of history in music, surfing, and then also skateboarding. And we were kind of the beginning wave of that, like setting up ramps on side of walls and things like that. So Hermosa Beach Museum's been there for quite a while. It's actually the facility is located in my old junior high. So every time I go there, I'm like, this was PE. This is where I came out and had to do PE with Mrs. Strange. And years ago, they asked me to do a talk about the history of Hermosa Beach and skateboarding. And I got to do a lot of delving into that and found out things I didn't even know, which were super cool. Like the very first skateboard contest on record that the New York Times says was right behind where the museum is now. And there were actually girls in that contest.
So sick.
And there's pictures of those girls skating freestyle on really rough concrete, doing tricks and stuff. So that was cool. And then from there's been a couple different curators, but the curator that's there now, the person who runs the museum, Jamie, is there now, has just added to my collection of things and kept it separate. And there's this history. And most times when I do an interview, I will do it from there to support the museum. And also just because I love visually, since you've been there, they've even redone the background. We've had people, one gentleman in particular, donate his brother's entire collection of skateboards, and he was an
Wow.
avid collector. There's pieces there that you won't even see in the Smithsonian. You will see nowhere else because they are one of a kind. So I'm very proud of Hermosa and what they've done to, promote skateboarding and encourage it and show that history. And I'm super honored to have in there, and there's little things that tell what each piece is, like the pink Converse that my grandmother dyed for me here in Hermosa. She lived here too, and she dyed them pink for me. Converse didn't come in colors. I wanted pink. She dyed them pink for me.
That's so
Um,
cool.
yeah, so they have some really unique pieces are at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. They have a large grouping of pieces, more than Hermosa has, but Hermosa doesn't have as much space. So yeah, I'm very thankful for this town and the people in it and Hermosa Beach Museum. If you're in town, like you said, stop by. It's free. It's got a lot of neat things. There's a punk exhibit up right now,
Yeah.
and the whole skateboard exhibit and surfing stays up. And there's
Very
different
cool.
events. Yeah. Yeah. After we get done, I'm heading to Hermosa Museum to go over a talk that we're doing for a gentleman who actually put me on my first TV show when I was 16. He had a TV show locally, and he then went on to shoot videos, VHS videos of all these major contests after the skate park started dying and towards the end. The
Wow.
only one with that record of that history of the men. And so there's going to be a whole talk with him, and I'm going to help out a little bit with that. So yeah, I'm glad you got to come by and say hi to our museum.
Yeah, it was super amazing. I told my daughter about it immediately. I like, "Have you heard of this?" And she's like, "No, I haven't heard of it. I wanna go through it." But yeah, the surf and skate stuff was just like a pleasant little surprise. And also, fun fact again about the museum, parts of the movie Carrie were filmed there in the '70s, and they still have one of the, little rooms where the shower scene was filmed. So that was really cool to just kind of see that, and anybody who's out in the Southern California area and South Bay should stop by and enjoy the museum. Um, you
Definitely.
you mentioned the Smithsonian, and, in the intro, I said that, you are a skate historian. Can you talk a little bit with us about how you got involved with the Smithsonian and what your involvement is and anything new coming up that we should expect?
Yeah, well, my involvement is the Smithsonian was coming out to Skateboard Hall of Fame and kind of checking out like what skateboarding is about. Is there enough history here to warrant it being in the Smithsonian? And I was started being involved early on in those discussions. And I remember them saying, when you donate to the Smithsonian, it is forever. It's not like Hermosa Museum. If I want to go borrow something or take it out, I could. They're very lenient with me and I have a contract, but it's very lenient. But Smithsonian is for life. And when they said they were interested in putting some of my skate history in there, I was like, but I have to give it away forever and it's so far away. And my husband was like, okay, we have no children. It's sitting here in our house. We don't have it on display because you don't want it on display in our house. So what are you doing? We went over the pieces that I had, and I have quite a lot. I'm lucky. I have saved a lot from that period of time. There's things I wish I'd saved that I didn't,
Yeah.
but there was quite a lot. So I sent photographs of these things, and we discussed the history of each piece. And they came up with a list of things that they thought were appropriate that could be worked into exhibitions. So it was really nice. In 2013, they had an event called InnoSkate, and they invited all of us who donated out there. And so we flew out there and they had a ramp set up and there was demos on the mall
Yep.
and um, they had programming and it had a video they showed and Tony Hawk was there, I was there, a
Yep.
lot of people were there. It was really a fun weekend and it coincided with International Skateboard Day or whatever you like to call it now, but Go Skateboarding Day. So we all went and skateboarded down this hill and the police were there. It was kind of like full renegade. And when I got to the museum, I said to Jane and the curator, God, it would be so cool to skate inside this museum. And we were on the first level. She was like, well, uh, I didn't see anything. And I'm like, are you shitting me? So I got on my board and I started skating through the museum and the security guard, like when I skated back around, was right on me and he's like, you can't skate in a museum. And I'm like, and I'm like, I think I said something like, yeah, but you can skate on the 405 freeway. I just did that.
Yeah.
Like, why can't I skate here? And she was just over there cracking up, pretending she wasn't involved. My husband luckily filmed the whole thing, and then ESPN wanted it. So there was somebody there from ESPN, and they heard about it, and they wanted that footage. And I was like, oh no, we can't. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. We can't do that. And I remember somebody at the museum, not Jane, said, the old adage, do it now, ask for permission later. And I was like, okay, do it. So they put it on ESPN and it was cute. It was fun, but I think it just goes to show that like the Smithsonian understands us. They get us. They welcomed us wholeheartedly. They knew what kind of people we were.
Yeah.
A little renegade at times, and they like that. They embrace that, and I think that's really nice. And not only did they take in my current history, over the years, they've asked for other pieces. Like when we came out with the Girls Not a Four-Letter Word board, the prototype of that board up there sits in the Smithsonian. So the very
Very
first
cool.
one that was made. But then they said a lot of people in other areas wanted to use it for exhibits. What else do you have? And I'm like, we have the blackboard prototype. It's sitting here because I skated it to make sure the components were right because it comes as a complete. And it was done by Dwindle, which is at the time the largest male dominated skateboard company in the US. And off on it, Bod Boyle was nice enough at the CEO at Dwindle to sign off on it. We sent both those boards out there and they both rotate in different exhibits. One's
Oh,
in
that's awesome.
one's in Girlhood right now that's traveling for 3 years. And it's all different things about women throughout history and girlhood. And So I love that. And then my skate shorts are there with my jersey, my Sims jersey. So they have like a whole outfit on a pedestal with my tennis shoes, my Puma tennis shoes. And I remember going, they're kind of old and they're a little dirty. Should I clean them up for you? And they're like, oh, no, 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 no. So, took them all out there with me. And that's on a pedestal. It's a whole outfit. And it talks about it and it rotates slowly, I believe.
Yeah.
Um,
And you
and then
can
the
see it
board.
rotate online. You can actually see the
Yeah.
exhibit online and it does the rotation for you. So,
Yeah, it's kind of, and
yeah.
it talks about how, because they asked why there was stitching in the back of the shorts, and some of it was coming undone. And I said, I had to hand sew the back of the shorts to fit me because everything was made for boys. And I had not such a straight up down body. I went in, so the shorts would, have a huge gap at the back. So I would put two little darts and hand sew them in there to get them
My
to
gosh.
stay on my hip. And so they're really good about asking questions like that, finding out the details of each item. And since then, they took in the first It's Not About Pretty book that we did, the first one that came
Yeah.
off the line, but they also took all the artwork as we led up to publishing that book. They took all the artwork with all of our notes and scribbles and my designer's notes and scribbles and the photographer's notes and scribbles. They took all of those big pieces. They're like, do you have all that? And I'm like, yeah, we do actually. And they're like, would you like to donate it? Because we'd love to have it. So over the years, there's been different things that they'll call me about. Recently is COVID, when we did a BLM skate to Venice Beach thing. They were like, those signs that you made, where are those? I'm like, well, I brought them home from the BLM movement. Like, do you want to donate them? It's part of history of skateboarding, supporting BLM. And so every once in a while, they'll ask me for things and I'll send them off. And I'm very honored that they feel that not only my skate history, but you mentioned something in the beginning about being activist. That is actually what I'm most proud of. Skateboarding is the vehicle, but
Yeah.
the activism, I always say, like, when I die, nobody's going to remember what I placed in a contest. Nobody's going to remember who won what gold medal in the Olympics. They're going to remember what you did.
Right.
Allison Felix is one of my clients. I don't remember how many medals Allison Felix has in track and field, but I do remember that Allison Felix stood up to Nike and said, you're not going to take
100%.
away my money because I'm pregnant, and this has got to change. So I think activism for me is one of the most important legacies you can leave, actually. Because like I said, it's unfortunate people today, the first Olympics with women skateboarders and men, tell me in park who got gold, silver, and bronze. Sometimes they can tell me one of those things. And I'm like, okay, let's go to Paris. Paris was only a year ago. Tell me who got silver, gold, and bronze. It's a sad thing to say that, but the fact of the matter is what you do matters.
Right. 100%.
So don't let contests rule your world and also make you upset or feel like you're not doing anything. What you do with your platform,
Right.
that is the most important. And it's probably easier for me to say because I'm older now. I didn't think when I was 15, I was speaking out. I was speaking out in magazines, and I was very much who I am now. And I was not afraid to say controversial things. But did I think at 15, oh, I'll be more of an activist and that's what will matter? No. But if I'm able to share that and girls know where I came from and go, okay, well, I'm a skater, you're a skater, maybe they'll listen to that and understand. And that's kind of the goal with Girls Not a Four-Letter Word, is to have all these girls around me that were helping to do something to help others.
Well, even if you didn't know back at 15, like just having the ability or the confidence to speak out about anything, especially at that time, that's pretty huge too. Cause I feel like, I know like your grandmother was a big part, you know what I mean? Like I feel like you maybe had that, like, I didn't have that. You know what I mean? I didn't have somebody telling me that I could do what I want or say what I want or, like anything like that. So I feel like you've always had the ability and like the understanding, like I can take up space and you know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like that even if you didn't think of it like activism back then or what it would do now, still doing that at 15, that's a pretty big thing, just being able to say what you wanted to say and do what you wanted to do. And I don't know, a lot of 15-year-olds. I mean, I know they say what they wanna say, but you know what I mean, like, a lot
I
of
know
them
what you
would
mean.
probably, maybe not, especially females at that time, that was a different time back then, it's like no one really wanted women to say the things that were on their mind or they felt or,
I
just
think you're right. I think my grandmother played a very big part in that, and also some things that my mom did too. I mean, taking 2 kids to Mexico in a van
Yeah.
for a year and a half,
Mhm.
as a single parent. Being a single parent back
That's
then too was
incredible.
Yeah.
kind of wild. And my mom, I don't want to say shielded me from things, but she didn't share things with me that might make me worried at that age when it was inappropriate for me
Right.
to be worried. Because with all that's going on in the world now, I start hearing and talking and looking at things and going, my mom technically shouldn't have been able to buy a home when she did without a man. My mom shouldn't have been able to have a credit card without a man. And my parents were divorced. They split on good terms, but and it was my mom's choice, but I know that my dad played a part in helping with some of these things,
Yeah.
and that's a good man, but I also was never privy to those conversations. I
Mhm.
was
Right.
never like, I never knew that there were times when money might have been a little tight on a teacher's salary, but she made sure, there was milk and food for breakfast, even if she had to put it on a credit card just to delay it 1 month. I never knew those things till I became, like, probably late 40s, and
Wow.
she never knew a lot of things I did on tour
No,
skateboarding
that's amazing.
until, like, 15 years before she passed, and she said, "I really wish you wouldn't have told me this,
Well, that just gave
because I
me
feel like
chills, though.
Yeah.
she's like, "I feel like a bad mother." I'm like, "How could you be a bad mother?" I would I would be so adamant about what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, and my grandmother would back me up, and my grandmother would help me ditch school, and it was like 2 against 1, like, this poor woman, you know, she's like, "Okay, go on tour. Is there a chaperone?" I'm like, "Yeah, she's 23. She's our
Right.
chaperone." And it's like, then I tell her the stuff that happened on those tours, and, she was like, I just feel like a shitty mother." And I'm like, "Yeah, but we kind of talked you into it, and also I'm fine. Look, I'm
What a
fine."
badass you've
More
become,
than
I
right?
fine.
mean,
Yeah.
I'm not dead in a ditch. I'm not addicted to drugs. I'm okay. It's all good.
My
So,
gosh.
um, but yeah, I can understand. I listened to your interview with Shiloh, and I love it because I do know a bit about Shiloh and her mom, and it just kind of reminds me a little bit in some ways of my relationship with my grandmother and my mom.
Yeah.
Like, do the thing you love, let us help you get there. My
Yeah.
grandmother especially. Let me help you
And
get there.
and all the interviews we've done so far, all the
So
girls have
amazing.
that same theme of having some strong central figure in their life. A lot of times it's the mom, but with Poe, it was her dad. But every of these girls are just have a family member that's very committed to helping them to be the best that they can be. And just that sense of independence and confidence is just crazy. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's probably a personality thing that fits in well with the skateboarding, but it's also the skateboarding too that helps build that confidence.
Yeah. It's been crazy how instrumental you know what I mean? Like, seeing that in each person's story, it's like that ties them all together. I know, of course, there's skaters and people in different professions that didn't have that were still hungry in their own right and were able to go and conquer and do, so not everybody has that amazing, beautiful story. But it just seems like this little thread, like no matter what, that follows them, where it's like they believe they can do anything and they have someone telling them, hey, you can. Ugh, it's
And
just incredible.
I think it's also skaters' common thread is like people who kind of think out of the box or don't want to
Yeah.
be like, I personally, for other people, it's fine. I don't enjoy team sports. Never enjoyed
Yeah.
team sports.
Yeah.
Like, to get that many people together and agree and be okay and whatever, that really wasn't my thing. But
Yeah.
before skateboarding, I did things like swim team where you were still doing individual things within a team, or I did horseback riding and showed English. And I did all those things. So it's kind of like me alone, even though there was a group, as opposed to like a soccer team. But
Right.
I love and admire people who are in those teams because it really teaches them to work with others. But skateboarding does teach you to think independently,
Yeah.
to really roll and be how do I say it? be open to other types of people. Skateboarders come from all walks of life. Now,
Yeah.
when I was a
Yeah.
kid, we were beach kids. We were running around barefoot. There was all sorts of things going on. I have a friend who said to me a few years ago, "But you were a latchkey kid. That's why you were a skateboarder, right?" And I'm like, first of all, I wasn't a latchkey kid because my mom, when my grandparents bought a huge 5-bedroom house with a pool, and so somebody was always like around when I came home from school. There was no like key around my neck. Not that that's a bad thing, but I was like, it's funny how other people see you
Right,
versus
how they perceive it,
how
yeah.
you grew up, and
100%,
all
yeah.
different people. I mean, even with the Z Boys, there was a trust fund kid that ran around filming them, right? Family's super rich, but he acted like them, but he was running around filming them at the time.
Right.
And then there was kids within the Z Boys whose parents did have a bit more money, middle class, upper middle class, and there was other kids who didn't. But skateboarding is the common denominator, and nobody sees past that, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that's
100%.
great. I think that's great, really. Um, it's changing and becoming a bit different now, obviously, with the Olympics and things
Yeah,
like that. It's very expensive to pursue those goals, much so, much, much more so than when I was a kid going on a
Yeah.
skate tour that somebody developed for me and paid for. I had this pocket full of cash for just little expenditures that my mom gave me.
yeah,
But now it's like you got to fly your kid to 4 different qualifiers a year, and
Yeah.
your NGO may not be paying for that. So I like soul skating. That's what
yeah.
I love. Even if you compete, I love it if you're a soul skater too, because I know if this all went away tomorrow, you'd still be out there skating.
That's the
So
Yeah.
amazing
important.
feeling too that I always tell everyone we talk to. I'm like, that's how I know that, like, even if you're so much better than me and everyone knows, like, Poe and Fabian and all these people, I'm like, I love skateboarding the same as you. Like, I go out in my garage or on my street and skate. And they're like, yeah, I would do the same thing. If, like, I'm going to skate as long as I can, until forever. If all this went away, I would still do it, and I'm like, it's the
Right.
thing I dream about. I don't know. I love it so much. And it's so good.
It's freedom. It's
Ah,
freedom, and it's
so
something
much.
that's in your soul,
Yeah.
and I think it will always stay there. It's just it will come out in different ways too. Like for me, working with the girls we work with now, that's my main focus. To me, it's kind of hard to explain, but for me to go back into a skate park and try to skate at least the level that I was at before, that's a hard thing. I need to go every day. I
Yeah.
need to really go every day to do that. It can't be once a week. It can't be once a month. It needs to be like an everyday thing. So I have X amount of hours in a day. It's like I don't have my own children, but I have a business. My husband has a business. We have a dog. It's like a child. And then I have these amazing girls that I get to help. And sometimes I think to myself, God, if I just took time and went every day, that means that's time from updating the website, from promoting them, from
Right.
checking with their parents, like what's going on with you? What issues is she having? Sometimes they will talk to me easier than they will talk to a parent. And, just about anything. Growing up as a young girl, things that are said to them that they don't want to tell their parents because it's
Yeah.
embarrassing, or they're afraid if my parents knew that, maybe I wouldn't be allowed to go to the skate park alone or with my
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Stuff that is kept, unless it's detrimental to their health, is kept in confidence. And I can say, yeah, this is what I did. But for you, what are you comfortable doing to counteract that to feel good? So I think about all those things in the day and all the times and I'm like, I get on my board and I ride around here and I go see people, and we just did a video like skating through Hermosa, all my favorite places, and we did
Nice.
that. And it was so much fun, and I saw so many people I love and know that I grew up with in this town. A lot of the businesses are still here, and I love doing stuff like that. But the only time, I'll be honest with you, the only time I really get back into a skate park is when there's a shoot and I need to do something for it. And then I have to rally myself and go, okay, time to hit a wall. But, I'm not going to skate a huge pool anymore, really. I mean, I could if I went often. My main focus is these girls are amazing. Like you
Yeah.
just interviewed Anna, and we have this list of girls that we work with that I just want everything for them. Whatever it is they want,
100%. Yeah.
I want everything for them. And it's like, I was telling one of the moms the other day, I said, you know, the reason we keep bios of each girl on the website is if social media went down tomorrow, we still have this. We still have this that people can come to us, and people, because I work in advertising and editorial in my real life, as I call it, my other life, people come to the website and they're like, what girls do you have that skate? I know how it needs to be made easy for a casting person, a
Right.
producer, or a client. And I go, here's the link. All the team writers have pictures on the mainframe. Click one. It will tell you what area they live in. It'll tell you what their expertise is. It'll have a full list of pictures. And then I make sure as we move along with each team writer that Ian, my husband, who's an advertising photographer, he shoots those pictures. He shot for the IOC before. He's done a lot of sports before. He did a book for the 2002 Salt Lake Olympics with the IOC. But he's very low key. People in skateboarding are like, does he shoot? You know, does he shoot sports? And I'm like, yeah.
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 And so
Yeah.
now the thing is, all those pictures on there, we actually own the rights to those. We don't have to go
Amazing.
ask another photographer. If you want to highlight that girl and put her like on the cover of the magazine, like the Maisel one, we went and shot that fresh. But I was like, if you're under a time restraint, what photos do you like? What do you need? We can send them to you via Dropbox, the correct resolution. Everything is correct. It's not shot on an iPhone. No offense, I shoot on an iPhone. But we have all that available, and I think it gives the girls that we support opportunities that other people might not have
I
or
love that you
miss.
provide that. That's
Mhm.
incredible. I didn't
Yeah.
even realize that you were providing that service for them. That's amazing.
Yeah. We've
And
That's
it's
had them
all
in.
amazing.
all ages, right? Because you've got
Yeah.
yeah.
We do. We do. We still have Kat Folsom who's with us. And you know, I got to do an article about her for ESPN magazine. I was at the ESPN summit. I would go every year as a wardrobe stylist being there. And one year, the head of ESPN women's said, you know, we know all about your skateboarding. You bring your skateboard every time you come here and you teach people to skate the parking lot of the Waldorf Astoria. I'm like, sorry. They're like, why don't you give a talk about girls not a four-letter word? So I did a power presentation there, and we got support from a lot of female companies, you know, female CEOs that like came in and bought 100 of our book, or they
It's
bought
amazing.
our helmet or whatever it was. I was able to use those pictures in the presentation, and they weren't just abstract girls that are out there. Nothing wrong with that, but I could say, this this is what we're supporting. This one's going to the Olympics. These two don't skate for us, but we gave them $3,000 towards their journey to the Olympics, each one of them. And when you can point to those things and you really have a visual, and there's a website and it's not just an Instagram, I think people in my real world are more apt to help because it legitimizes what you're trying to do and get across. And it makes it easy for them. You know, it's like, hey, who do you have that doesn't have a sponsor for this? We're looking for
Right.
someone.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of opportunities we're able to provide, and I think that's helpful for visual. The more other women or girls see girls out there in bigger roles, the more we progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm able to help do that with all my connections, then that's an important thing for
How is
sure.
that different for them today than it was for you back in your time?
Uh, well, I think sponsorship's different. Back then, it was like big excitement. If you got a sponsorship, you know, it was a big deal. And I was very proud of my sponsorships. Like, I always wore my Sims t-shirt and I
Yeah.
always wore my jersey when I competed. You didn't have to ask me. There was no asking me or telling me. That was like a sense of pride to be on any of those teams. I think now, a lot of times in Southern California, not elsewhere, the companies give things out like candy. And I've kind of not really understood it because I think now in skateboarding, people look towards the pros to like what they want to wear or buy or whatever. And I'll see a sea of kids with the same helmet or the same pads or the same skateboard or whatever. And I'm like, is that selling product or are you doing a good thing? Because a good thing is a good thing, right? So that's okay too. But it's mainly in Southern California we see this. Every kid, if you look on their bios, every kid has like 4 flow sponsors already. You look
Mhm.
back east, you look at Texas, et cetera, you don't see that. The
Yeah.
reach is not beyond that. So I
Yeah.
think it's a lot easier now in SoCal to get sponsors. And I think when we were younger, you really had to prove yourself and you had to like wait and they had to ask you. You didn't go up to them and be like, hey, can I be on Independent or can I ride Tracker Trucks or
Yeah.
I want to be on Sims. Somebody from that team had to like vouch for you and kind of bring you in and then go from there. But once you were in, it was a big thing. Like Sims was in Santa Barbara and the boards were too big for me. And they would cut my board down to 28.5 inches. So they would cut like a pro model Burt Lamar board down for me. And then Sim's mom would help run the business, the accounting and stuff. And she'd be like, maybe Cindy doesn't want to wear the t-shirts that we're making for the boys. We have a screen printing place right here. What do you want? I'm like, I don't know. I like the baby blue shirt you already make. She goes, yeah, but what more than that? And I was like, Grandma, you're just so cool. You're asking me what I want. But every team had a look and a vibe and they all mixed well within that team. It was
Yeah.
like your people, like
Hmm.
Baker. Okay. Baker guys and the pros and stuff and Alyssa on that team, they all fit, right? They
100%.
they just go together. There's other teams I see that don't really have that, but I think we're getting back to that a little bit. You
Yeah.
got to find your home and your place.
Sure. Yeah. Community is big. And I think
Yeah.
that social has helped to it's helped people to be able to make themselves known in a little better way. Like you were mentioning, it used to be magazines that we waited for the magazines to come out to know what other people in the area or beyond were doing. But social is helpful in that regard. But then you are also right that social kind of makes everything just more homogenized, I guess.
It does. It's a great place to be able to see a ton of other people, beginners, people in foreign countries, people with really like not current skate gear, and see so many things. And it's opened up for women and girls and LGBTQ so many areas. Because as you know, like waiting for those skateboard magazines, those were like 3 months behind. And you'd wait for them. You'd be so excited, and I'd flip through and was like, "Please be a girl in there. Please be a girl in there." Occasionally there'd be one. I'd cut it out. I'd put it on this, my peachy folder, and I'd put all those girls on there, and I still have those folders. And then I'd laminate it by using Scotch tape
No.
over the whole thing, so those pictures wouldn't come off or wear
My
off.
gosh.
Yeah, I still have 3 of those folders, and I'm like glad I do because
Gosh.
I'm like occasionally a guy would sneak into my folder like on a picture. But they were all doing freestyle. It was all freestyle back then or slalom. Mainly freestyle though. Sometimes a little banked wall, but mainly freestyle.
And
And
you
I would look
you did
to
some
see what.
freestyle too, didn't you? You did freestyle
Oh yeah,
competitions. Yeah.
oh yeah, because we had to.
Because we had to.
It was like ice skating. It was like you have to do this, and you
The
have to
girls have
like
to
you
do the
go.
freestyle.
Guys did too.
Yeah.
Guys did it too. Like if I competed for Skateboard World in Torrance, and I go to a contest and it'd be like, okay, so you have freestyle and then you have banked wall. And slalom must have been an option because I never did slalom. And most of
Mm.
Okay.
my friends from back then did all three. I never once did slalom. So I'm like, how did I get out of that one? Because I knew that I had to have a freestyle routine and it literally had to be set to music most times. And when we went and did a demo, when I did school and we did those demos for Skateboard World all around Southern California, all we could do was freestyle. There were no banked walls. It was like a flat surface at a school. So you had to have a good freestyle routine. I remember Beverly Hills High, they threw food at us.
But, like, you actually had a huge picture in a magazine. Did you tape over your own? Did you, like
No,
no.
no,
Because
no,
it's like the clear
no.
ramp, right? Like the
Yeah,
clear
it's a
Well, this
plexiglass
yeah.
Oh
round.
my
Yeah, it
gosh.
was a centerfold, and that time I was the first girl that was centerfold in a 2-page
That's
article in a
amazing.
magazine, and they were great because they let me say whatever I wanted to say, and they printed it verbatim. A lot of things nowadays
Yeah.
get changed around. You're like, I did not say that.
Yeah.
I actually said worse than that. That's
Yeah.
my take. The other people are like, I didn't say that. That's bad. And here's me. I'm like, said worse
Yeah.
than that. You changed it. So yeah, no, I didn't put it anywhere. I didn't tape it up. I didn't put it on my wall. I was just glad that there was something out there. And yeah, I was, but in that same article, if you noticed, there was pictures of me doing freestyle.
Yeah.
Centerfold, thank God, was not. Centerfold was rad, and I love the centerfold, but there were pictures of me doing freestyle, and I think something was said that I didn't say. They said something like, if you think that she's at the park being free to freestyle,
Yeah.
something to that. And I'm like, I didn't say free to freestyle. I don't
Yeah.
have anything against people do freestyle. Just I've moved on to half pipes and pools, and that's what I really love. So, but yeah, I had to do the hang 10 Olympic champ. I don't know how they got away with using that word. The hang 10
10.
Olympic championships. Like, where do you get that word from? That's like a trademarked word.
Right?
Yeah, you
Oh
usually
my gosh.
can't utter those words, right?
Yeah, I remember I had to go to Magic Mountain, and there were a lot of girls. There was like 34 in my
Wow.
category or
Yeah.
something. I was like, I can't believe I have to do this. But it was all the skate park sent their team, and that's how you got there. You had to have other contests and then get there. And I remember going, oh my God, I have to do a routine and music, and I almost missed my call to skate because I was on a ride. And I told my grandmother and mom and my brother, under no circumstances do you come here. Like, I just want to skate and be done and be with my friends. They showed up. I'm like, that's an hour outside of LA. I'm like, what are you doing? But thank God they did. I have pictures of it because of my grandpa and my grandma taking pictures. I have pictures of that contest, and
Oh, that's so
I
cool.
ended up getting third, and it was fine. But, I was like, this is stressful. I just like to go skate. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
getting a half pipe and there's no like routine and X amount of tricks. I do whatever I want, just like the girls now. They're not looking for a routine. It's not ice skating. It's not like,
Right.
okay, and you're going to do the triple lutz here, and you're
Yeah.
going to do a Miller flip over here and a 540 on that wall, and you got to stick to it. You do whatever you want. It's creative. Make up your
Yeah.
own lines, your own
Yeah.
routine. I just think it's freedom, you know?
100%. Yeah.
And I
And
think
that's how
that
you guys feel
have
when you go out and skate, right? It's free.
y- absolutely. Yeah, I think that as some of the girls have mentioned that we've talked to, they're still kind of wrestling with doing contests versus doing just skating on their own or skating for brands, doing photo shoots and things like that. So it's great for the girls up and coming that there are more opportunities now, that it's not just the contest route that they have to take.
I think it's super important, and I talk about this constantly. And I have a couple girls that I talk to their parents and to them because one's a little bit older. And I say, you do not have to test your sponsors and myself. I don't care if you do contests or not. I want you to do what you want to do. There's so much more opportunity now to just go out and film, or if you get to that point, you
Yeah.
excel and you film for a brand, or you can film a part yourself and put it out there. How proud will that make you?
Right.
You do not have to be on this treadmill of contests. For some people, I think it's great and they love it and they thrive on it. And other people, it's maybe breaking the bank. It's stressful.
Yeah.
Um, it's to the point where there's anxiety involved. There was a girl that I didn't work with that I knew the mom though, and every time she would come to a contest, when she would drop in, the mom wouldn't notice it, but I'd see her doing this with her hand
Yeah.
down
I've
by her
seen that with
side.
a lot of the kids lately.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes it's nervous energy and it's good. And sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And I just think that you don't have, like I said, does everybody remember who went to the Olympics and who got what and who was on the American team? And half of our skaters don't even skate for the US. They skate for other countries because
Yeah.
maybe there's some more support or their parents are proud of that. And I think it's a wonderful thing. But I'll tell you, in my world of working with professional athletes as a wardrobe stylist, I'll be on set. The first thing multiple people will say to this athlete when they come in is, so did you win gold? That's all that matters. Did you win gold? And then there's this pause if they didn't win gold. And it's like, no. And they'll be like, oh, well, silver, bronze. And if they didn't win that, but they're an Olympian, but they have, they're an activist, they've done other things, and that's why they're here because
Yeah.
they've done a lot of things. And it's just an awkward question. It's kind of like when you get to a certain age and people are like, "So when are you 2 gonna get married? Are you
Mhm.
pregnant yet?" It's
Right.
very it can have layers to it, and I think skating for you and doing what you wanna do, whether it's filming, whatever it is so important, and not everybody needs to be on that track. Just like not everybody who plays AYSO soccer is gonna play high school soccer, and maybe high school soccer is not gonna play college soccer, and maybe college soccer is not gonna be pro soccer. We all
Right.
know that, but
Right.
why do we all of a sudden think every kid who excels has to go to the Olympics? Because you don't.
Right.
If you want to, I'm all for it. I'm here to help you any way I can, but if you wanna do something out of the box, which didn't used to be out of the box, I'd love that for you. I think it's great,
I
you
think it's
know?
great that the girls have you know what I mean, to look up to, like somebody I feel like I heard somebody say it and it hit me. It was like, we have all of the original, like, people of our sport are still living. Like, what a treasure that the people that
Yeah.
started this sport, that were the original, like, grandfathers now and grandmothers, you know what I mean? Like, have brought skating as far as it is and that you're still living to talk about it and the entire journey that it's taken. And that the girls have people like you that are alive and well and thriving and can say, like, hey, guess what? I was in it way back then, like a part of it, and it's still here and it's still this thing and it can be whatever you
Yeah.
want, you know?
I think I think that is important. We've lost a few good people, like we've
Yeah,
lost Patty McGee,
absolutely.
rest her soul, and we've lost some other people. Luckily, Gail Webb is still here with us. She was a very big champion of everything I did. I love it when people I've known, whether it's in skateboarding or school from way back then. I think the biggest compliment I get besides the activism thing, because not all people are happy that I do activism.
No.
Believe me, there's some people, mainly men, who aren't that thrilled about it. But the biggest compliment that I think I receive is not about the skateboarding accolades. It's you're exactly the same now as you were when we were kids. Do you know that? And I'm like, that makes me really happy. Like, it hasn't changed me. It hasn't, I don't know. Like, people ask about Skateboarding Hall of Fame a lot. There's a lot of that. And it always say, I'm super honored. I really appreciate that honor and I don't take it lightly. Um, that was something that's voted on by your peers. So
Yeah,
I'm very, very honored to be on the ballot and inducted the first year I was on the ballot. That made me very proud and happy. But again, if that's the catalyst for talking about these girls,
right,
or leading to more activism, then I'm all for it. But for me, that's not the end all to be all. It's a part of
right.
everything that leads to what I think is the most important part. And
Yeah,
it's where these girls are
sure.
going today. I'm lucky to be surrounded by men and women,
Yeah,
not just women.
yeah,
This man, Ted Coombs, who set up that skateboard tour for me. Okay, he thought of putting a woman on a skateboard tour. That hadn't really been done yet. So
yeah,
that's a man I thank to this day, and I'm still friends with him. And I'm like thank you for that. Joan Jett, telling me her story and saying how parallel it is to my story and doing my induction, Skateboard Hall of Fame, and talking to me about the girls I work with and, her thoughts and things. Like, that's all important. I need that support too. The
yeah,
girls need support, but I also need to see those other role models and people to encourage me to keep going because you two know you've got a podcast. There's days when things are hard and you're just like this is exhausting or
yeah,
I'm fighting this and this and will it ever get there? And I think because you guys are really passionate about what you do, and I'm passionate about what I do, it hits you hard
yeah,
when you
yeah,
hit the wall or you have a roadblock or you have a disparaging conversation, not on your podcast, but elsewhere
right.
or on Instagram or anything. It hits you harder when you are so passionate about something. You put your heart and soul into it and you don't, it's not something it's not your living. Yeah, that's what I always tell
Right.
people. Like, I'm doing this because I want to do this. This is the give back. This
Yeah.
is what my grandmother taught me, is to give back, and
Right.
this is my give back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sticking with things that
So
you're passionate about, like we are, like you are, I feel like we can't continue to think that things are going to continue to improve without us continuing to press. So that's why it's
that
important, especially right now.
that is very important, and this can stay in or you can take it out, but I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, say
Um,
it.
2 days ago, we heard that our current president and his people are looking at the Smithsonian to revise their exhibits and what history in America really looks like. And most likely, history in America really looks like a white male. So that means things like the exhibit of girlhood that's had such a powerful impact across the country the last 3 years may be coming back in and, being shelved. That maybe means that the floor of the Smithsonian, when you walk in and there's Tony Hawk's skateboard, my skateboard, and Jamie Reyes' skateboard sitting there, that may change. It may not. It may fly under the radar. But I think for me, when it says girl is not a four-letter word, I raise a lot of red flags if you know what that means. Some people don't. I mean, I've been in meetings where I've been like, hey, let's call it girl is not a four-letter word. And five guys in the meeting were like, sure, that's good. And I'm like, and that board showed up in a skate shop in Iran and they posted it. And I was like, do they know what that means over there? Because that kind of skated through, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I
Indeed.
was like, and I remember asking Dwindle, how did that board get into Iran? Because I'm super stoked about the skate and helping them. And there's girls that skate. And he's like, oh, they buy it from a distributor overseas, so we don't really know. And I was like, somebody didn't know what that meant. And I hope that girl's okay. So in the Smithsonian, you're in for life. You call up and make an appointment and say, I'm coming to town. They'll take you on tours that other people don't get to go on. You get to visit your stuff. I go in every once in a while and visit my stuff. It's in a drawer. Like if it's not on
Mm,
tour, it's in a
yeah.
drawer and it's got like, I can't touch it. I have to wear white gloves if I was to touch it, and they prefer that I didn't touch it.
Wow.
Once
Yeah.
I signed it over and handed it to them, I was no longer allowed to touch those things.
That's
And
amazing.
then Muhammad Ali's robe is in the slide thing right above mine when you open the drawer. And I think Kobe Bryant, who's I worked with for many years, his jersey is there, like on the in the same shelving unit. But everything's got that archival paper over it, so it
Yeah.
can't go by. But I guess my point is, they could either put all this stuff down there and take it away, like it is when it's not on display, or it has to go off site, or God forbid, worst case scenario is they put it in a pile heap and burn it.
Oh, no.
I mean, I honestly don't know. Some people think that's far fetched to me to think that way. Other people have said to me, let's look at history.
Yeah.
Let's look at
Yeah.
history and what has happened.
I hope that
I,
doesn't happen.
yeah, I was told by some people with the Smithsonian, this is what we're seeing, and I knew this was coming months ago. There was some other things that were a precursor to that, like LGBTQ things that were,
Yeah.
wanted pulled immediately. And then I had other people who were in other parts of the Smithsonian going, no, it's not his to do this with. He can't. And I'm like, there's a lot of things that can't, shouldn't, wouldn't, couldn't, but are
Right.
happening. So I think more along the lines of not being a doomsayer, but being a realist, and I see it coming. And,
Yeah.
I don't know what'll happen. Somebody who's never been involved with the Smithsonian had a very honest question. They said, well, can't they just send it all back to you? And I said, there are thousands and thousands of people's families. You cannot track down all of them, and they can't do that. Who's going to pay for that? I mean, I could pay for it, but that takes manpower.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's not what they're going to do. You've signed it for life. They're going to either put it away, put it off site, because they do have off site, I believe, too, or he's going to have it gotten rid of
I
because it
hope that
doesn't
doesn't.
exist.
I
I
mean,
hope
like, I
not.
Yeah, you know, only because too, like, I grew up in the DC area, like Baltimore, Annapolis, DC up there. And so, like, going down to the National Mall and going in those museums was like part of, like growing up. And I can only imagine like how many, not just local kids, but like from all over the East Coast that go there for their field trips. And, like I
Yeah.
didn't see a lot of like I didn't skate growing up, I wish I did. All my friends were skaters, but I didn't know it was something I could do, and so, like, just going in and even having your stuff there, like, all the female stuff, like, imagine how many lives that's touching, so I really hope that it's, like, safe
I
and
hope so.
stays and
I hope so too. I love like Jordan Barrett was there with the U.S. Olympic team, and she was kind of, I just love Jordan. Her mom got hold of me when she was 13 to see if they should move to Southern California from Hawaii for Jordan to pursue being a pro skater. Now, this was how many years ago? She's in her 20s now. I was
yeah.
like, for what? Like you can
Yeah.
skate anywhere. Why are
Yeah.
you moving here? And her mom was like, should we skate more towards San Diego, middle, or Venice or whatever? And it was all these questions. And look at Jordan now. It's like Jordan's got Toyota as her sponsor. She had Cliff
It's
Bar. She had
amazing.
Ralph Lauren. She had the biggest set of non-skate sponsors going into the Olympics.
Yeah.
It was the biggest thing I could ever hope for. She and Nora are my prime example to people outside of the skateboard industry
Yeah. Yeah.
bigger. And I think there's the people that I use, you do not have to skate contests. Nora used to skate every VPS series, and it wasn't her favorite thing. She, I'm not going to say she was lucky enough. She made this happen. She made her skateboarding career into what she wanted to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people loved her enough and understood it, and it was time and followed along.
Yeah.
Lizzie probably was too much before that time. She probably would have liked to not do contest either, maybe at some
Yeah.
point.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I thank God for the possibility models we see, like Lizzie, like Nora, like Jordan, like just everybody. Minna Stess is one of our riders, and
Yeah.
she's just skated street in Spain. She grew up skating street. She used to do street and bowl and vert. Those were the three you would do in contests in her age when she came up. And she used to go to like third layer, I think. And I don't know, there's a couple different contests like her parents would fly her to, and they do all three. But then, you have to pick one. They make you pick one or two. So she'd do bowl and she's done the Olympics. But I'm like, what are you doing in Spain? She's like, skating a contest, primarily street. And I'm like, awesome. Because whenever I see you and you're not practicing and not training, which I hate
Yeah.
that word,
Mm,
you are doing street with all your friends. You're having the best time.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
see you on TikTok doing it. I'm so stoked that you're there doing this, you know? So I think maybe Min is another one who will maybe change directions. I don't know. And create another possibility model for
Yeah. And the modeling is the
skateboarding.
important part because it's like I've heard you say and other women too, like, if you can see it, you know what I mean? If it's there, then it's,
Yeah.
you know, you realize
You
it's possible and
Isn't that funny though? Because
yeah,
somebody has to be the first, right? And it
right,
is being the first. I mean, been told many times things I wanted to do were ahead of their time. It's not, no, I don't see that. And then 3 years later, it's happening, and you're like,
right.
you try and try, and somebody's got to do it. But some people are afraid, and I don't blame them. I tell my husband all the time. He's very quiet, flies under the radar. He looks at Instagram, but doesn't post much, doesn't comment much, lets his work speak for himself, and doesn't want to be involved in that. But I always tell him, like, you don't know how much of the shit that I get on social media. Occasionally, I'll show him DMs or comments, and he's like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, this is the thing, though. If you put yourself out there and you stand for something, you are an open target. And a
Yeah,
lot of people don't want that. So
yeah,
I
Yeah.
understand why they pull back. Not everybody wants that. Believe me, there's days I don't want that. I'm sure you don't want that.
yeah,
Just being a woman is hard.
100%. Yeah,
I'd say being anyone but a straight male, cis
yeah,
male, is
it's
hard
true. Yeah,
because you have to explain things to people. Like,
Yeah.
you walk down the street, you look behind you, you keep your keys in your hand at night to the car. So a lot of things you just do, you learn growing up.
Hmm.
And I don't know where that was going, but
That's all right.
it was just,
No, but we even
different.
still, yeah, that's why I say we just have to keep pressing, because even though we have all of these examples of things that have improved, and yes, they have, and we're so grateful for that. But then there's something as simple as one of our local meetups, a girls' meetup that's at the skate park, where fathers of sons are like muttering under their breath or saying out loud, like, why do we have to close the skate park for these girls to get together? So it's like, as many steps forward as we take, there's still that kind of undercurrent in the background that we really need to be attentive to and continue to help stand up for what we know is right.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think recently with the change of leadership in the country, it's become more prevalent because it's more okay to make those comments and have that rhetoric out there. I'd say, 10 years ago was not as common. Had to watch your P's and Q's a little bit more. But now, yeah, I have things said to me that are just horrendous, and it's not always about me. It's okay if it's about me, I can take that, but when it's about one of these girls I'm talking about, whether it's my own group or somebody else I'm posting about, and I get that, I get really, really angry,
Yeah.
and I will say things back to try to neutralize it, and if that like, sometimes I'll send a DM, and I even try to do the thing of, like, I'm sure you're having a bad day and this probably isn't who you are. Giving you a chance to
You're
get
giving
it
them the
out
benefit of the
and just
doubt.
just
Yeah.
making sure that I'm not like jumping to conclusion like you're like this every day, but usually they are. And then I'll get something nasty back again and then I'll make a really flippant, rude comment. And then at that point I block them because I
Yeah.
don't want the girls seeing that. And I know if their parents aren't the ones monitoring their page, they're of age. I know they're seeing it and getting it anyway because I
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
about it. I
Yeah.
hear about the things they go through. I thought we were beyond that. I thought
Yeah.
we were past that.
How can we help support you with
Yeah.
Girl is Not a Four-Letter Word?
I think this podcast is a great idea and a great start. And we're happy to share it on our page. We can push people over to you guys. And you're helping me by allowing me to be here and talk about all this with you. Um, we have our website, girlsnotafourletterword.com, and we have our Instagram. And of course, for people a little older, because they help us too, Facebook, we have
Yep.
that too. And the website is really where all the information is. Like, I just want more people to tune into these contests that these girls are at, like Rockstar is coming up this weekend. We always have on our page the exact link to go to and the times laid out for you.
Oh, awesome.
Make it
That's good to
we
know.
had we just try to make it super easy because people forget. But as far as support, I think really what we're doing right here is a big support, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on and having this really fun conversation with you guys. Wish you lived
Beautiful.
closer.
I
Let's go to
Yeah.
know.
dinner.
I come
My
Come to
out.
gosh.
skate.
I come out. I'll be out there in
You
October.
do. Yeah, you
Yeah.
do. Well, let's
My
go for a
gosh.
skate on the
Mm,
Strand and cruise around and go get an
absolutely.
acai bowl down in
Dude, now I
Redondo. There's
have
a
to
great
come to
place.
California.
You need to
Mexican.
come.
Love Mexican
Oh,
food.
yeah, go to El Sombrero up the street where I go at least once a week. Yeah, I don't think they know I skate there. They've known me since I was like 15. I don't think they have any idea, which I love.
Goodness.
That's
Yeah, but
amazing.
there's so many great places around here to go and it's super chill as you know. You've been here. It's just a really chill place to live and to be. I really like I'm sure you're like that in the places you are in Florida too, the smaller areas.
Yeah. Well, like where I am in Sarasota, it's a really great skate community right
Beautiful.
now. It's such a nice, like, I don't know what it is about where I am. It's like a little bubble and just a big community vibe in the skate world. So everyone supports everyone and it is
So
really nice,
nice.
but
That is so nice.
got to get to Cali. I'm going in Paula's bag.
Come with Paula and visit. Really, seriously. I would be happy to host you
That
too
would
and
be
take
amazing.
you around and have you been to Venice Skate Park yet? Either
I have
one?
I
not been in
have. Yeah.
California since I lived there
Yeah.
as a kid. Paula
Okay.
has.
I
Paula
went.
has.
Yeah, I
Paula's
have.
been to Venice. And Hermosa Skate Park, we're working on talks to change that park up. So,
Incredible.
been involved in those conversations a bit. Like, I'm like, we need the peanut bowl like we have in Venice, trying
Yeah.
to explain to a group of skateboarding men that girls don't all skate street and they need street, but they also need a roll in, and a
Yeah.
small peanut bowl allows them to learn all those tricks that they can take to bigger bowls later. We don't
See?
have room for a bigger bowl because if we had both like Venice does, that'd be great, but we don't have the room. So I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, compromise peanut bowl at Venice, and also if we had a snake run. And
Well,
also
that'd be
if we had a pump track,
love
I'm
the
like,
pump
Yeah.
tracks.
here was me at
Yeah.
the meeting with all guys. I'm like, so can you wipe out the parking lot and the pickleball and the tennis to do a snake run?
That'd
And
be
then could you
amazing.
do a pump track and like
I
probably
think
like
those
get her
small things are missing though at a lot of the parks, especially for the women
yes,
that we know that are
small
getting into
features.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For beginners, it's really important for beginners to have things like that.
Important.
Yeah, like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna
It's
rock to fakie on
important.
even a 4-foot mini ramp. Still seems kind of scary, but I have like a 2-foot at home that's accessible, that will
Right.
there's nothing
Right.
little.
It's like you guys also have in Florida Kona Skate Park, which
Yeah.
I love and respect so much because oldest skate park in the world that's still around,
Yeah.
family
Yep.
owned, I believe,
Yep.
still,
It
and
is.
that amazing snake run that people just love. And I'm like, this is such history here.
Yeah.
This is like Elise who designed the It's Not About Pretty book. She lived in Florida. We designed it remotely and we didn't even know her. We had never met her. We met on Instagram. And
My
she started
goodness.
doing a bunch of little like design things for me. And I was like, hey, do you want to design a book with us? So she launched the book in Florida on the East Coast at Kona Skate Park. She
Oh,
threw
that's
an
Wow.
all
amazing.
girls skate event. It was amazing. The pictures, the video. I was like, Kona Skate Park, like you have my heart. Like
So cool.
it's
I didn't
just
even know that book existed until we started doing the research for this episode with you. And then I have a ton of like old skate history books. I'm like, I need that for my collection. I think it's like 80 on eBay right now. I don't think you can even get
well,
a copy of it. Like,
well, I could tell you where you can get a copy is at the Hermosa Museum. They bought a bunch from us and it's
I'll
still
get
at
one
the
for you.
original price. It's just still the original price there.
oh my
And they'd
gosh.
probably even send it out to you.
Okay.
I noticed when I was there the other day, I was like, "Oh, you still have copies?" And she's like, "Yeah, we bought a bunch. Remember?" I go, "Yeah, that's true. You did." So I've been meaning to tell people Hermosa Museum because we're out of print. We
Yeah.
only have a few left here. But on eBay, sometimes you can find a used one, but I don't know how be battled it
Yeah.
is. And also, see if you buy it from Hermosa Museum, it came sealed with a poster in it, a big pull-out poster, and you didn't know which poster you're going to
Yeah. I
get.
saw it said like 1 of 4.
Like a
So in the
Labubu
original,
blind box
that's
before
amazing.
Labubu
Labubu.
blind
I,
boxes.
I love
Yeah.
I see
that.
your Labubu back there.
Yeah, it's got Supreme. Where is he? Where do you see
Right
him? Like,
behind,
it
right on your
says,
shelf, right on your
he's
shelf
got
over your shoulder.
he's wearing Supreme today.
Oh
Oh,
my
Yeah,
that's
he's got his little
gosh.
amazing.
Supreme outfit on.
Oh
But
my
that
gosh.
poster idea was exactly what you're talking to me about. Like, did you pull posters out, put them on your wall? Did you put your own
Yeah.
on your wall? I used to tell my husband all the time there were never enough pictures of girls to pull out and put on my bedroom walls as inspiration, and that's super important to me.
Yeah.
So when we were designing the book, he's like, "Look, I did all the photography for this. It took me 7 years to compile this. I want to be proud of it. You want to be proud of it, but I have certain things that we have to spend money on." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "The dust jacket. There has to be a dust jacket. It has to be hardback. And paperback would have been so much less expensive to make." And he's
Yeah.
like, "Has to be a certain size, at least. It has to be hardback. It has to have a dust jacket because I want this to be more of a coffee table book that girls can put on their nightstand and be proud, not just go, oh, this five
Yeah.
paperbacks." He goes, "And the other thing, a pull out that you can put on your wall without ruining the book." And I go, "I'm talking to the vendor. I don't know how that's going to happen." She came up with the idea of like, why don't we make a pull out poster that's literally like this, that's folded and put it in a book? And I go, people are just going to steal it when it's on the shelves. Cause we were in Fred Siegel. We were, in skate shops in Japan and all over the world. And I'm like, people will just steal that. 'Cause. She goes, "Well, then you got to shrink wrap the book and put that sticker on the front." And I'm looking at Ian going, he goes, "No,
Cha-ching,
but
cha-ching.
yeah, but Ian was like, he put up the money for this book.
That's
That's another
amazing.
important thing.
And he
He,
So
did all the
amazing.
photos for it, right? On the inside?
yes,
That's amazing.
yes. And for years I said, I want to do a book. And he said, I don't have enough content. I need more variety. I'm not happy with it. I won't be happy doing this, and I'm not ready to do it. So then when he was ready to do it, we had met Elise, and Elise was instrumental in putting that together as far as like the graphics and design and the layout. We went back and forth. We told anybody in the skate industry or anywhere. The only people that knew we were doing this book were Elise, Ian, and I.
That's
No
amazing.
one knew. And it
So
was the
cool.
first hardback book on women's skateboarding ever
Yep.
done.
Yep.
And that was shocking to me in that year. But he put up all the money, and his thing was, if the book pays me back, great. Because we have separate businesses. So, we got married later and he's like, if the book is able to pay me back, that's fantastic. If not, I don't care. I want this for what you want. This isn't about me. It's about what you wanted to do, and let's make it happen. And the book sold so well that I was able to pay back all the printing costs and everything within the first 2 months.
That's
It was
amazing.
done. And I was
Wow.
stoked. I was like, look at this. And he's like, well, that's because you go out there and do interviews. And that's because, you knew somebody at Vogue and talked to Vogue, and you Marie Claire, and you talked to all these different magazines. And my point was, skate magazines are great, but that's not who's going to buy the book. Women's magazines. It's going to tap into another market that will support these girls that don't know about these girls.
Yeah.
Because this was
And
before the Olympics.
And the
Yeah.
woman's skate market is a hidden gem that people are missing out on. These over 30 women that are taking up skateboarding later in life, they got
They
money
spend
to
money.
spend.
They
Yeah.
do have money to spend. And I try to explain that to skate shops, like when we're carrying our merchandise. Boutiques would get it. They'd be like, okay, we want 6 of that design, 10 of that design, all this. Skate shops be like, I'll do 1 of each design. Like, okay, that's not how women shop. When women see 1 of each design, they think it's a remnants rack. It's like, ew. They need, like, no, that's not how we shop. So I realized, like, skate shops aren't going to be my thing.
Yeah.
Boutiques are going to be my thing. Skate shops in other countries are my thing. Australia bought in Tasmania. The island
Wow.
of Tasmania had bought so much from us to support that it's insane. That's the one skate shop I point to, is Jimmy's Skating Street on an island. Numerous orders, selling out. And then when the boards came out, carrying those. When the helmets came out, carrying those.
That's
selling
incredible.
out. Tons of girls in Tasmania skate. They have Girls Skate Tasmania. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because they're getting support.
Yeah.
So more and more girls skate, but they're on an island.
Yeah.
You're not creating something new,
Right.
but you also can't have a misogynistic drawing on a board and expect women to want to buy it for themselves or their teenage son. So that's what we're leaning towards. That's why that board sold so well, because they love the fresh, bright colors. And we did 13 collabs with them.
That's
And every
amazing.
one I was, instrumental in the artwork. Sometimes we brought in other artists, which was cool because I didn't have to think of things.
Yeah.
And then I worked with them to come up with concepts and designs. And Wes Humpston from Dogtown Skates, he wasn't kind enough to design one for us. And that one did really well too. We did longboards. We did a freestyle longboard, like a dance board. We did cruisers. Never popsicle sticks. That wasn't the area we wanted to go into.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There's a gold mine. I mean, I have women who told me they bought 5 different variations of this board just to have it on their wall and
Yeah.
skate one. So think about
Cool.
that. You guys got to do T-shirts or
I
something
know.
for your podcast.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Carving It Out.
Keep up with Cindy and her team at Girl Is Not a 4-Letter Word.
And follow at Carving It Out Pod for updates from us.
Thanks for listening, and share this podcast with a skate friend.